Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. My name is Talia Joy. I am so happy you're here. I am your guide in spiritual development, awakening, personal transformation, and everything that you're going through right now because I see you, friend. It is a dense time and also one of big transformation. So I am so happy that you're here. Today, we're diving into a topic that I know you will resonate with, especially because you clicked on this, not just because I'm psychic. And we're talking about overwhelm. So if you feel sometimes / all the time that your mind won't stop racing, maybe it's physical stimulation, overwhelm with all the to-dos and the holidays are coming and all the normal stuff in your busy life, maybe carrying the energy of the weight of the world on your shoulders, carrying things that maybe aren't even yours, this episode is definitely for you. So also if you resonate more with anxiety, I'll maybe touch on it. There's slightly different energies, but very, very similar. So, this is for you as well if you experience this. And overwhelm, it's not just about having too much to do. It's a multi-layered emotion and it hits us energetically, mentally, physically, and even it feels like spiritually sometimes. So in this episode, I'm just going to break down and explore how you can bring yourself back to center, how you can bring yourself back into a state of calm and clarity and being grounded, and really how you can use this in your everyday life. If you are an empath, you will especially get so much out of this because you will, you're someone who carries even other people's energy and you hold it in your body. So to fellow empaths, I see you, and we, especially need to address this. And when it comes to overwhelm, it's very common for us. And I think it's very common for everybody right now in the world. There's so much, right? So I'm really excited to help you on this journey and help you to feel grounded and calm. I think that's kind of it. Let's get into it. Grab a cozy drink, maybe a chamomile tea, maybe even a master cleanse drink to like throw it way back, cleanse the system with some cayenne. Whatever you bring, I am excited to do this. Let's dive into today's episode. Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Awakening Her podcast. I am so grateful that you've been led here, and I'm so excited for you that you're answering the call to manifest more magic in your life. My name is Talia Joy, and I am committed to showing you exactly how to manifest more excitement, ease, success, abundance, confidence, love, and anything else you've been craving. So if you're ready to go on a magical journey of spiritual and self-growth to manifest the life you're meant for, we are now besties. Let's dive in. Okay, let's start by looking at what overwhelm actually is. It's when your system, your mind, your body, your energy, your energetic field feels an overload of energy and is unable to process everything coming at you at once. So let's just go to like auditory overwhelm for any of you HSPs out there. I can get very overwhelmed with energy and audio. Like if the TV's playing and then my husband puts on music and then a kid starts talking to me and it's like I can't too much. If there's a lot of, especially two songs or something, if you're ever in a place where like two things are happening and I just want to be like, and like cover my ears, like, nah. But also just when I'm thinking about something and then someone starts talking at me with dates or questions, I'm like, hang on, I can get very overwhelmed quickly. And so even just in that example, my brain is overloaded and I can't take it all in at once. So just kind of, realizing that in a chill way, that overwhelm isn't like you're doing something wrong. It's not like, why can't I handle stuff? We all get overwhelmed. It literally just means there's so much going on that you are unable to process it all at once. So really, that's very normal, right? It's just something we become aware of. And as I touched on in the intro, for empaths, it can be even more intense because you're not just managing your own energy, you're also absorbing the energy and the emotions of the people and, of the room, everything around you. And an empath feels the room, but the difference between an empath and just someone who is aware, perceptive, an empath brings the energy into their body. So we physically feel it, or it creates overwhelm, anxiety, a physical reaction. That's the difference with being an empath is we take the energy in a room or the people we're feeling and like we will feel sick, or we will feel a jittery or an anxiety or a sadness or even joy that isn't ours. We're picking it up off somebody else. So that's the difference. But just taking a moment to reflect and thinking about, what causes overwhelm, and in your mind, just gently observing, not going into it, but observing when are the times when you feel the most overwhelmed, and recognizing within yourself, is it external, like too much noise, clutter? I'm going to get into that in a second. Demands of others, contrasting tones, like I was saying, or even textures. Some things can cause overwhelm like that. Is it external or is it internal? Racing thoughts, comparing, trying to figure it out, feeling of like, oh, I got this to do and this to do and this to do, like that internal list. Just being aware. And it may very likely be a combination of both. So being kind to yourself, being self-aware as we move through and as you experience overwhelm on the holidays or whatever, to just go, okay, deep breath in, deep breath out. Literally what's happening here is there's so much going on. I can't process it all at once. That's really understandable, right? So one of the first things I want to talk about to reduce overwhelm is boundaries, but energetic boundaries. So I know you've heard about boundaries this, boundaries that, but I like to kind of refresh things and give it in a new perspective. This is where we are protecting our energy. This is where we kind of look at, like, imagine yourself as your body and maybe your aura, your energy system, your cells, everything. You have your energy. And what we're doing is we're just creating a boundary, a loving golden light, bubble, shield, however you want to look at it, around yourself to contain your own energy. It's not about like blocking out them and those people are toxic. It's not about that. It's about I care about my energy. So I'm going to do what it takes to protect that well-being, that inner calm, that groundedness from the world, like no matter what it is. If you're riding a city bus or you're at a family function or you're in the office and there's tension, you're at home, something's going on, maybe your mind, we can start to create this golden light, this shield, to say to myself, I protect my own energy and I only allow in that which supports my energy. And we'll get into the nuances of this a bit, because I can have, like, say somebody I love or care about is really off or really fiery, or I'm having a hard conversation. I can quote unquote block, but really just shield myself from their energy, but still be in the conversation. I'm not leaving. I'm not going, again, like, you're toxic, I'm out of here. That's not the true tool. The true tool is, like, say even it's normal stuff. You're having an argument with a sister, a brother, a loved one, a parent, someone that does love you, but there's tension, there's an argument, there's something. You can put up an energetic shield in front of you, imagining it, as I said, a bubble, a shield of some sort, something, maybe a golden light. And what it does is it just allows you to not leak your energy out to them by kind of going like, oh, they're mad at me, they're disappointed, they're, oh, I feel bad. It's like holding your energy, holding your personal power to have a conversation. Because you might have to say, like, I'm sorry, or this is what I feel. But when we learn to not have it leaking out everywhere, that creates an energetic boundary, then helps us to not feel overwhelmed, because we don't feel as drained, we don't feel as frazzled. So you can create this shield, create this bubble over and over. You can do it before you walk into work, or even going to the gym, to just like be in your space, at home with the kids, whatever. And again, it doesn't mean you're cutting them off or separating yourself. Sometimes we do want to walk away when you can, but other times we need to like be with our kids, or we need to be at our desk, or whatever. So creating a boundary around can help you come back to your home base and tune into your own heart center and your own body, which will immediately start to reduce the overwhelm. The next thing I want to talk about is overstimulation and clutter. And clutter is huge, especially for empaths. And this is something that a lot of people they're not fully aware of. But that feeling after you declutter in your house? I mean, people are aware of that. It feels so good. But sometimes we're not aware that even fine-tuned, especially if you're an empath, clutter leads to overwhelm. And the best way I can describe it is because if you are an empath, we are picking up on the energy of the space. All the clutter has like a story attached. It's got an energy attached. So maybe the pile of papers on your desk makes you think like, oh my God, I've got so much to do and all that thing is due on Thursday and oh, I really should clean up. Or if it's in your home, it's like, there's crap everywhere. And like, I try to go into my meditation space and there's an empty cup and there's a this and a that. And the kids brought their toys and everything. It's not only there, you feel it. It has a story. Oh, I should have cleaned up. Oh, I don't like all the clutter. Or if you're at your desk, and this happens to me, I have a fairly large office, but my desk itself where I record and stuff is not that huge. So I keep it really clean, not because I'm a natural neat freak, but because if I'm going into my space and I can't, like if I'm recording, my hands are moving, and if I'm like knocking over a cup and there's a thing over there and the ash from the sage I burnt earlier is like all over, or lip stuff and hair scrunchies and water cups and that can very easily be everywhere. But if I can't move around, that instantly adds to overwhelm, that feeling of like being trapped, being like like bunched up. So decluttering and clearing your space, even when it is just one little space. Like if I'm walking into the day and I'm recording, I want to make sure that everything around my recording setup is clean and clear. And I don't have I take out all the cups from yesterday somehow, like every day there's like 5 cups. I'm like, I didn't even think I had that many beverages, but it's cups, lip stuffs, scrunchies, and then all my like essential oils and crystals and everything, notebooks and stuff. So anyway, I clear everything because I know that if I try to go into my space on top of yesterday's stuff that also has story and blah, 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 it feels overwhelming. So I do myself the favor. So decluttering is not just about you should or clear is better. It reduces overwhelm. Our stimulation is less. So we're thinking less, we're seeing that less clutter. So even just, I like to tell my clients, like you don't have to go Marie Kondo your whole house, but the areas you use often or your space, like your nightside table or your closet or certain, if you have like a he shed or a she shed or whatever, like having some space where it's clear, where you feel like your insides, your cells can go, right? So thinking about your environment, that hugely reduces overwhelm, simplifying, especially those areas you're working and operating in, if there's sacred spaces, altars, whatever, keeping that stuff clear. Okay, the next thing I want to touch on with reducing overwhelm is the mental component of our mind racing, right? And if you're like me, I'm not only thinking about like the day and what kid has lessons or what I have to do after work or what's going on today. I'm also going like, and the future and what I want to create and like, oh, that thing in the past and like, I need to figure this out. Like there's so many levels, right? There's family stuff, there's personal stuff, there's physical to-do lists, and it can feel impossible to even focus on something in front of you. And from an overthinker and an empath and an HSP and somebody who is very sensitive, my mind can take up like 95% of my energy. And sometimes I will be in my head and it's like it's so overwhelming to try to figure this thing out or what I've got going on or thinking about something that even then a kid comes into the room or a noise happens and instantly I'm like overwhelmed because really 90% of my space was taken up by my mind. And then the one thing in the physical life that comes in is like too much. My husband's like, so what do you think on the 28th? I'm like, I can't do dates. He's like, okay, because I'm in my head already. So that happens. That happens to all of us. So if you find that you're that person, so 2 things. We need to come back into our body because our nervous system is dysregulated. So taking a deep breath, taking a couple deep breaths, and starting to think of 5 things you can see around you. And then maybe even 5 things you can touch. The feeling of your fingers on your fingers or your fingers on your clothes or the air that you feel or whatever. 5 things you can hear, 5 things you can smell. It can be any number. You can do 2. It's just to bring you back into your body, back into your senses. That will start to regulate your nervous system when your mind is racing. And then the next thing that is so great is writing it out. And I'm sure you probably know that, but just brain dump. This isn't about like hours of journaling. It's actually like get it out of your head. Sometimes I just create a page and I literally like say to myself, okay, and then what? And I'm like, and then I'm writing it out. And then what? Oh, and I have to get the stuff for tacos on Friday. And then what? And I'll like write it all out. And it still bugs me, the thing that that person said or whatever it is, just to get it out of my head. You can also speak it if you prefer, like to yourself, just alone. Say it all out. Just get it out of your head, because in our head, we go on endless loops. We literally have neural pathways. And when you have one thought, it spawns another thought. You know that game back in the day when you'd be like, what's the first word that comes to mind when I say banana or whatever, right? Some of you are perverts. That's not what I meant. No, but that game of like, what do you think of when I say this? Those are literally neural pathways. So when our brain goes to one thing, there's instantly something else that spawns off of it. So when we think of Christmas, we might go, oh, the family thing, or oh, the money, or whatever. So in our brain, it never ends because there's always another thought to follow a thought. We have to start interrupting it, come back into the body, center, even if it is about like, oh, the ingredients you have to get for tonight. Just take a second, center, take a deep breath, and then write it out. Write out everything. And that's when the grocery list, like, I know some of you are probably excellent list writers. But when I create the grocery list and I go around, I'm like, is there anything you need? Is there anything? And I really feel like I have a good frickin' list. I go into the grocery store with confidence versus like, oh yeah, the milk and oh yeah, and that thing. And oh, we don't have lunch stuff. Like that keeps me in overwhelm. And then I go into a grocery store and pretty soon I'm just like, oh my God, there's music playing. There's so many people. What was I supposed to get? And I think that a lot of you can feel me here. It's almost like, supporting ourselves so that we don't have that overwhelm. So when your mind is racing, the two most important things is to come back into your body, take a few deep breaths, tune into 3 things you can see, 3 things you can touch, whatever you pick, 3 things you can hear, smell, taste, pulls you out of your head and back into your body, and then write that shit down. Send yourself a voice memo, note it on your phone, whatever you can do in the moment to get it out of the head so that you literally don't have to keep going like, oh yeah, and then I have to, oh yeah, and what about this? Just get it out. The next thing that I want to talk about when it comes to reducing overwhelm is just taking a moment to reflect instead of just like, just kind of go, what's going on? What do I need? Am I overcommitting? Is there too much on my plate? Can I delegate? Is there something I can do right now to take the load off? Can I write it down, etc.? You don't have to ask all those questions, but just reflecting. What do I need? What's going on? And the other day I don't even remember what exactly was happening, but 3 kids were making dinner. My husband's there, my dog's there. It just, something became too much. I was remembering forms I had to do. I don't remember, but I literally just went upstairs. Everyone was downstairs. My bedroom's upstairs. And I went upstairs and I just sat on my bed and it was fairly dark. And I just centered and I took a few deep breaths and I put my palms up and I just tuned into my breath and my body and came back. And then I thought, what do I need? And oh yeah, that's funny. I remember in that moment when I was downstairs, I started feeling physically like sick, like nauseous almost, not like I was actually going to throw up, but just nauseous. And when I went upstairs, all of the nauseousness like disappeared. And I realized I actually just needed less stimulation. And I sat there for like maybe 2 minutes, did a little shield, pictured myself with a glowing internal golden light that just helped protect me. And I went back in and continued on. But the nauseousness really stuck out as like, whoa, I was overloaded. So sometimes just reflecting on like, what's up here? What do I need? And sometimes, you guys have heard me say this for years, just go to the washroom. If you're at like a physical event or something that you can't technically escape, go to the washroom or put down the phone, turn off the TV, like take down the stimulation. Come back to center and just ask like, okay, what do I need? And if it is about all the to-dos, maybe you can delegate. Do you realize that you're taking it all on? And sometimes my husband will say like, give me something to do with this. When I'm like, oh, and I have to do the thing and I have to do the thing. He's like, what can I do? And I'm kind of like, oh yeah, somebody else can help, right? And he's like literally there willing, but I just don't think of it because I'm like, and I have this thing and I have this thing. I'm like, oh, actually, when you're out, can you get these groceries? I need this. And he goes, yeah. And then instantly something is lifted, right? So give yourself permission to pause and just inquire within. Take a deep breath. And then the last thing I just want to say, in addition to this, is breath work, nature, and scanning your body and giving yourself love are some of the most key tools you can do in the moment of overwhelm. So as I said, breath work, there's millions of reasons, and a lot of you specialize, you do breath work with clients or you've done it yourself. And it's so powerful. It regulates the nervous system. It brings us to the present moment. It brings us back into our body. Physiological effects are insane. It boosts our immune system. It aids in healing. Like, it's just crazy. Just taking a few deep breaths instantly tells your body and your nervous system, like, I'm good. So we come back into our body, all those things I said. When you're overwhelmed, have that be the first thing you go to. The second thing is if you can be in nature, even for a few minutes, to step outside, have a few deep breaths, have a shower. Water is nature. Have a bath, whatever you can. Sometimes I just go to my bedroom, I open up the window really wide, and I just like take a huge breath in and like, right? Like I might have been in the middle of doing something. I'm not going to go outside in this second, just taking a huge breath in. But maybe drive to the mountains, go do something in nature. Let your feet, let your hands touch nature, the bare feet, the bare hands, touch a tree, hug a tree, those things really, really help. And there's a lot of reasons again behind that. Even as far as like what grounding actually means is it shifts your vibration to match that of the earth. It shifts your electromagnetic field, the hertz that you put out. It literally grounds you. Nature also turns your body from acidic when we're in stress and toxins and all this stuff into alkaline, which is the only environment that you can heal. And disease can't live in an alkaline environment. I learned that in nutrition school. So nature really actually helps you to be in a healing frequency beyond just like you should and like feel source in nature. It's like proven and there's science behind it. Also then body scans. So just bringing awareness to your body, sending breath to your gut if it feels tight or your low back if it's aching. Where are you holding the tension of the overwhelm? Scan the body, take a big breath, feel just like come back, right, from the head into the heart using these. So just as a little recap, first and foremost, if you get overwhelmed, I see you, me too. And it's all about regulating. It's all about just being aware of it, coming back to your tools. You may, if you're sensitive, you may forever have times when life feels too much, but that's all it is. Too much going on that you can't process everything at once, right? That's it. We just need some tools, bring it in. So realizing first and foremost, you can create that energetic boundary, that bubble, that shield, that golden light around yourself to protect your own internal energy. I keep getting the visual of like when you put on a parka and it just holds all your heat in versus like a windbreaker that your heat goes out. It's like you put on that parka and you keep that loving energy, that okayness, your own home base, you keep that in. You can create those boundaries as you go into situations that overwhelm you. The next one was clutter. Really realizing that clutter is overstimulating. So where are some simple areas right now today at your desk where you can just declutter a little bit? Maybe go back to your altar or, as I said, your bedside table, your bathroom. Where can you do like just one little area where it makes you go like, where can you declutter? The next one was the mind. When the mind is racing, when we're in overwhelm, we have to first come back to our body, take a deep breath, come back into our body, back into our senses, what we can see, touch, hear, smell, taste, come back, and then make a list. Write it all out, whether it's an awesome list or a messy list or a brain dump list that you have 7 different topics, just get it out. You'll feel so much better. The next one was taking a moment to pause, to give yourself a moment of reflection and of self-inquiry. Like, what do I need right now? I need to just get outside. I need to go to a dark room. I need to take a deep breath. I need to say, okay, stop talking, hang on. Okay, like if it's a friend talking at you and you're like overwhelmed, just hang on 1 second. I want to hear what you have to say. Just give me 1 second. I got to just like, okay, what do you need? And then the last part, a 3-step or 3-aspect, no fail, every single time it's going to work. Breath, couple deep belly breaths, slow, deep. Nature in any form, in any way you can. And a body scan. What do I need? Where can I send love, breath? Where can I relax the tension in my body? And this brings you again out of your head into your body. So overwhelm doesn't define you. It's nothing bad. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just a signal that your mind, body, and energy is asking for support, that you need to center down, ground in. There's just too much going on in one moment. It's all good. Do what you need to do to look after yourself. So I hope that this served you. I would love to hear, send me a DM over on Instagram if there was anything in here that really, was really interesting, that really helped you, any tools you're excited to take away. And from one empath, sensitive human to another, I see you, friend. Overwhelm is okay. We just deal with it. We just use our tools. I see you, and I hope that you have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Awakening Her podcast, your go-to for real life manifestation. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening from. Reviews really help the show. You can also find me after the show on Instagram at Talia Joy Manifestation. And listen, love, I know that you are ready to stop spinning your wheels and hustling and doing a bunch of stuff, and you're ready to make the money you want to make, to feel the way you want to feel. And if this is the case for you, then you are absolutely in the right place. I'm so excited. And if you're ready to jump into the implementation, you can check out On the Path. The link is below. Remember, all manifestation starts on the inside. I'll see you in the next episode.